They said the snow never melted there, not even in the height of summer. High in the northern Alps, where clouds kissed the jagged cliffs, there once stood a kingdom so beautiful that travelers swore its light could be seen from miles away. Its name was Alaris. But Alaris was not on any map. No records mention its kings. No traders wrote of its markets. It existed in whispers, passed down from shepherds who claimed to have seen ruins glittering under ice. In the year 1489, a storm, unlike any before, descended on those mountains. When the sky cleared, Alaris was gone. No survivors, no trace, as if the earth had swallowed a kingdom whole. 500 years later, a man named Adrian Keller, a linguist and amateur historian from Austria, found a sealed box inside an abandoned monastery near Inside were scrolls. Brittle, ink-faded but legible, written in a forgotten dialect of Old High German. They told a story of a realm called Alaris, ruled by a king named Aurelian, whose crown bore the symbol of the rising sun. The last lines chilled Adrian's blood. When the mountains fall asleep and the sun forgets the valley, we shall rise again, not as kings, but as memory. Adrian couldn't rest. He spent months decoding the dialect, tracing mountain routes and riverbeds that matched the descriptions. Every clue pointed to a hidden valley sealed by avalanches centuries ago. A place locals avoided, calling it Das Schwiegental, the Silent Valley. In the winter of 2024, armed with his research and an old compass, Adrian set out to find it. The journey was brutal. The snow rose higher than his chest, and the cold bit through his gloves. But on the third day, while crossing an ice bridge above a frozen ravine, he saw something glint beneath the surface. Faint gold lines, carved like symbols in the ice itself. He cleared it with his gloved hands. There it was, the emblem of Alaris, the rising sun. His heart pounded. He followed the markings until the path led him to a wall of pure ice. At first, he thought it was a glacier, but as the light of his lantern fell across it, he realized it wasn't ice at all. It was crystal, smooth as glass, stretching into the mountain itself. Inside the crystal wall were faint shapes, arches, pillars, staircases. It was like looking into a frozen palace. He pressed his palm against it. The ice was warm. Suddenly, a vibration shuddered beneath his feet, and a soft hum filled the air, not from outside, but from within the mountain. A low, melodic sound like hundreds of voices singing one eternal note. He stepped back, terrified yet mesmerized. He spent the next 3 days camping nearby, taking photos and samples. But every night, the same thing happened. Faint music, like a choir, echoing from the ice. On the fourth night, snow began to fall. The air glowed faintly blue. He recorded a voice memo. If these sounds are natural, then the earth itself remembers. But what if it's not the earth? What if it's them? That was his last message. 3 days later, a rescue team found Adrian's tent half buried in snow, empty. His equipment was untouched, and his camera still recording. In the footage, there was one frame before the battery died. A reflection in the crystal, a figure in golden armor, standing behind him. When his sister, Elena Keller, received the footage, she didn't believe it at first. But then she read his final journal entry. It said, "I think Alaris never died. It sleeps beneath the snow, waiting for someone who still believes." Elena gathered historians, geologists, and climbers, a full expedition team, and returned to the valley 6 months later. When they reached the site, the crystal wall had changed. The carvings were clearer, the symbols glowing faintly under the moonlight. Among them, a pattern appeared, the crest of the rising sun, and below it, words newly visible in the ancient script. to those who seek light in the silence. Follow the song. The team stood in awe. One of them began humming softly, imitating the tone from Adrian's recordings. The mountain responded. The ice trembled, and before their eyes, part of the wall melted away, revealing an arched doorway descending into blue light. They stepped inside. The passage led to an enormous chamber carved from the same crystal, lined with statues of men and women dressed in flowing robes. Their faces were peaceful, eyes closed, as if asleep. At the center of the chamber lay a raised dais, upon which stood a golden figure, armor intact, eyes open. In his hand, he held a sword of white stone. Elena stepped closer. The figure's lips parted slightly, and from nowhere came a whisper carried by the wind inside the mountain. The light endures, and then silence. When they left the mountain, dawn was breaking over the Alps. For the first time in centuries, sunlight struck the silent valley. Snow began to thaw, revealing ancient stone ruins beneath. Within weeks, archaeologists confirmed the discovery: an entire medieval city preserved under layers of crystallized ice. No known record matched its architecture, but for those who were there, one thing was clear. This was Alaris. Elena published her brother's notes, and historians now call it the reawakening in interviews. She often says the same thing. My brother didn't die there. He woke them up. And when she's asked if she ever heard the song again, she smiles softly and says, only when it snows. The discovery of Alaris changed how the world saw its own past, not as something gone, but as something sleeping, waiting for the right voice to call it back. The Silent Valley is now restricted, protected by the European Heritage Council. But sometimes, hikers who wander too close claim they hear faint harmonies drifting from the wind, like a choir singing through the ice. And if you stand there long enough, some say you can see golden reflections beneath the snow. The last light of a kingdom that refused to die. Because legends, like hope, never truly vanish. They just wait for someone who believes.